Welcome to Token Trails, your go-to podcast for diving deep into the cutting-edge innovations in Web3, blockchain technology, and decentralized systems. In today's episode, we continue our Superchain series with a focus on Zora, a platform that's transforming the world of NFTs and decentralized digital culture. We'll explore how Zora is positioning itself within the Superchain, leveraging Ethereum's scalability through the OP stack and creating a more interconnected open world for creators. Whether you're new to NFTs or a seasoned Web3 explorer, this episode will give you a fresh perspective on how Zora is shaping the future of digital ownership. Let's dive in.
Hey there. Ready to kind of jump into a really cool corner of the NFT world? We're doing a deep dive on Zora. And this isn't just about another marketplace. This is like a whole blockchain, but built specifically for NFTs.
Yeah, the really fascinating thing about Zora is that it's not trying to be everything to everyone. It's really laser focused, on putting digital culture first. So that's artists, that's musicians, creators, anyone who's making waves in the digital space.
Okay, so digital culture is the name of the game. How does that set Zora apart, though? I mean, there are a lot of blockchains out there already.
So imagine like a high-speed rail, but built right on top of Ethereum's existing tracks. That's kind of what Zora is doing. They're leveraging something called the OP stack, which is basically, think of it as like a turbocharger for transactions. So you get the security and the familiarity of Ethereum, but it's a much smoother, faster, and cheaper ride. We're talking minting costs that are less than your daily coffee.
Okay, now that's something I can get behind. For sure. Yeah. A world where minting NFTs doesn't cost a fortune. But we got to talk about this whole superchain idea, right? Because I hear Zora is a big player in that world as well.
That's right. You can think of the superchain as this interconnected network of blockchains, all kind of able to communicate and work together. And what Zora brings to the table that's really unique is that focus on NFTs. So it adds this whole other layer of possibilities, especially for creators.
So it's not just about finance and trading, it's really about weaving NFTs into the very fabric of what the superchain can do. So what does that look like, practically speaking?
So imagine your Zora NFT isn't just a piece of digital art. It could be your key to exclusive online communities, or your membership card to real world events, or even your in-game avatar across different blockchain games. So the lines start to blur, right? And it's all thanks to Zora being plugged into this larger superchain ecosystem.
Whoa. Okay, that's a whole other level of utility and interactivity. It sounds like Zora is really pushing the boundaries here of what we think about when we think about NFTs.
Definitely. And, it all comes back to that core idea of empowering creators. One of the ways that Zora does this is by using a decentralized protocol for everything.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. What does decentralized protocol mean, maybe in plain English? And why should creators care about this?
Basically, it means that creators don't have to rely on these big platforms or pay, hefty fees. They have direct control over their work. So Zora is giving them the tools, but the creators are really in the driver's seat. They can mint NFTs, they can set their own prices, they can even program in royalties, so every time their creation is resold, they continue to earn.
So it's like cutting out the middleman and giving artists this direct line to their collectors, which is amazing. And full transparency, control every step of the way. That's got to feel really good as a creator.
Absolutely. And because Zora is built on this decentralized protocol, it fosters the sense of community ownership and governance. And that's where Zora comes in. That's their decentralized autonomous organization where, creators, collectors, developers, they can all kind of come together to shape the future of the platform.
DAOs. We've talked about these a bit before, but I think a little refresher never hurts, right?
Definitely. Think of it as an internet native co-op, It's basically a group of people with some shared interests coming together to govern something they believe in. In Zora's case, the Zora Dare is all about guiding the platform's evolution, but they do that through a system of voting and proposals. So again, it's really about putting that power back in the hands of the community.
That's so cool. It's like this self-governing little society of digital art enthusiasts all working together to build the future they want to see. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And that focus on decentralization, it even extends to how Zora handles data. It's all about being on-chain.
On-chain, on-chain. We hear that phrase a lot in the blockchain space. But for someone who's maybe not super deep in the technical details, why does that matter? What's the big deal of having on-chain data?
Yeah, sometimes we get caught up in the jargon, right? Think of it this way. When your NFT is fully on-chain, it means that all the information about it, so that's, the image itself, the description, the ownership history, it's all stored directly on the blockchain.
So it's not just like floating around in some company's database, vulnerable to hacks or whatever, or even just disappearing if the platform shuts down, right?
Exactly. It's like having the security of Fort Knox for your digital creations. This is a huge deal for creators because it guarantees the authenticity, the provenance, like the permanence of their work.
So with Zora, artists have peace of mind knowing their work is secure and verifiable, which is huge.
Yeah.
But what about actually getting that work out there, like in front of an audience? How does Zora help creators connect with collectors in this like new world?
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting, right? Remember we were talking about Zora being built for this whole superchain thing? Well, that interoperability opens up a ton of possibilities for how creators can actually like showcase and utilize their NFTs.
Okay, yeah, we talked about the superchain in kind of a broad sense before, but paint me a picture here. What are some like concrete examples of how that interoperability actually plays out for like Zora and the creators using it?
Okay, so imagine this. An artist, they launch their latest collection on Zora, and because the fees are so low, they can afford to, experiment with different kinds of formats and concepts. Now, let's say one of those NFTs is actually designed to act as like a membership token for an exclusive online community.
So owning that NFT
Yeah.
gets you access to this like special group, maybe with behind the scenes content, direct interaction with the artist, that kind of thing.
Exactly. But here's where the superchain comes in. Because Zora is built on this interconnected network, that same membership NFT could also unlock benefits in other platforms, right? So maybe it gives you like early access to a new game being built on a completely different blockchain, but it's all within the superchain.
Oh, wow. Okay, so your NFT becomes this like multi-dimensional pass opening doors across all these different online spaces.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level of utility of engagement, really.
Right. And it's not even just limited to digital experiences. Like that same Zora NFT could be used to, verify your identity and give you access to like real world events, concerts, gallery openings, workshops. Like the possibilities are kind of endless.
Okay, yeah, my mind is officially blown. We're talking about like bridging the gap between like the digital and physical worlds in this really seamless, I don't know, inevitable feeling way.
Right. It's exciting. And especially for creators who, maybe in the past have been priced out of the NFT space, like Zora really opens up a world of opportunity for them. Like think about artists in developing countries or like young creators just starting out. They can now access this global market for their work without, breaking the bank.
It's like Zora's leveling the playing field in a way, giving everyone a shot at like participating in this new creative economy.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the initial sale either, right? We got to talk about royalties and how Zora is like changing the game for creators over the long term.
You're absolutely right. That's another area where Zora really shines. Remember how we were talking about creators being able to program royalties directly into their NFTs? Well, because of Zora's decentralized protocol, those royalties are actually baked into the like smart contract of the NFT itself.
So it's not just like a nice gesture or some kind of like handshake agreement. It's like an immutable part of how the NFT functions.
Exactly. Every time that NFT is resold, like on any marketplace that supports the Zora protocol, the original creator is automatically going to get a percentage of that sale.
So even years down the line, if that NFT has like skyrocketed in value, the artist continues to benefit from its success. That's huge for like sustainable income, for long-term support of creators. It really is. And it's not just about the money either, right? It's about recognizing like the inherent value that creators bring to like the digital space.
Exactly. It's about like shifting that balance of power a little bit, giving creators more control over their work and like its destiny. And that sense of empowerment, I think, is what makes Zora so exciting. It's not just like a technology, it's more like a movement,
I totally agree.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about lines of code here. We're talking about like a fundamental shift in how we think about, I don't know, creativity, ownership, value, like all of that in the digital age. So where do we go from here? What's next for Zora and this like whole new world that it's building?
That is the million-dollar question, right? I mean, one thing's for sure. It's still early days. Like Zora is relatively new, even in the world of blockchain, which moves so fast. But it's already like pushing boundaries. It's sparking these important conversations.
And it's not just about like art and collectibles anymore, right?
Sure.
We're seeing NFTs kind of like branch out into all these different areas. So what are some of the, I don't know, the most exciting applications maybe that Zora's particularly well positioned to like tap into?
Well, for one thing, I think we've only just like scratched the surface of how NFTs can be integrated with DeFi, decentralized finance. Like, imagine using your Zora NFTs as collateral for loans, or like fractionalizing ownership of real world assets like real estate or intellectual property. And it's all represented as these NFTs on Zora's platform.
Wow. Okay, that's like next level stuff. We're talking
Yeah.
about bringing real world value onto the blockchain,
Mm.
making assets more liquid, opening up like whole new ways of thinking about investment and ownership.
Exactly. And because Zora is built on that OP stack and it's part of the Superchain, it's like ready-made for those kinds of like cross-platform applications. And as more blockchains kind of join that interconnected network, the potential use cases for like Zora's NFT ecosystem, that's only going to grow.
Yeah, it's like this like perfect storm of innovation and collaboration kind of brewing on the horizon. And what's so exciting to me is that we're not just talking about these abstract concepts. We're talking about really tangible ways that this technology can empower like individuals and communities like all over the world.
Yeah, I love that. Imagine like a world where artists from all walks of life can use Zora to access these like global markets, where
Hmm.
creators can retain control over their work, they can benefit from its long-term value, and where like communities can come together to support the art and the artists that they love. Like that's the kind of future that Zora is building towards, and it's one that I'm like so incredibly excited to be even a small part of.
Me too. This whole deep dive has been like a total eye-opener. So to everyone listening, if you're curious at all about like the future of digital art, of creativity, of community-driven innovation, Zora is definitely like a project worth keeping your eye on. And who knows, maybe it'll even inspire you to like create something amazing yourself.
Now, wouldn't that be something?